Hey guys! So for today's video we're going to be talking all about liquid foundations. I'm going to be discussing some of my favorites and why, my favorite ways to apply, and different kinds of coverage and things like that. So just to give you a little rundown of my skin, it's very sensitive. I get a lot of redness. I get oily in my chin and nose area, and then get dry in other places. So it's just a guessing game as to what works when, and different seasons I need different products. So currently it is August, so it is hotter outside. I do get a little like greasier and sweatier and things like that. So my goal right now is to keep my skin matte, and I also have pretty large pores in the same greasy areas. So yeah, that is what's up with that. So this video is going to be all about liquid foundations. If you want to see things about like BB creams or tinted moisturizers or powder foundations, then let me know in the comment section if you're interested in those type of products, and I can do something similar to this for that. So I have a lot of people tell me that they just don't know how to apply things, or they don't know how to get their makeup to look like how they see other people's makeup. So I thought that this would be a good way to talk about foundations and my favorite way to apply it, and sort of kind of an educational type of thing instead of just like a makeup tutorial. So the first thing, if you want your makeup to look more flawless on your skin, you need to prime. So finding the right primer for you can be a little bit difficult because it depends on your skin type. As I've just told you about mine, my main problem is filling in pores and keeping my skin matte. So I have a few, and I try to pick different ones to show you that are different price ranges. So there's that. For pore filling things, I really like this one from Makeup Forever. I used to use this in like every single video. This is the Step 1 mattifying primer. So it is going to fill in pores and keep your skin very matte. So if you have super oily skin, I really recommend this one. Another high-end one is the Porefessional from Benefit, and all I have is this little baby one right now. But this helps to fill in your pores and makes your makeup go on smoother, and makes it so your foundation doesn't exaggerate any pores. And this one does a pretty good job of keeping oiliness at bay. And then a drugstore dupe for probably the Porefessional is the Maybelline Baby Skin. And it's the same thing, like fills in your pores and makes your makeup go on smoother. And then I have one more from NYX that I really like, but I prefer this one more in the winter when I need a little bit more moisture. And this is the NYX Angel Veil Primer. So this one isn't as silicone feeling, and if you've ever felt like any of the ones I just mentioned, then you'll know what I mean. It looks more like a moisturizer, but it does have like a smoothing and blurring effect. So the one I'm going to use today is the Makeup Forever one. And I don't need it everywhere, so I'm not going to put it everywhere. But if you need it all over your face, then obviously put it wherever you need it. So I just take a little bit in between my fingers and rub it together, and then I'm just going to press that into the areas where I need it. And because this product is so like silicone based, it can, like if you try to rub it, it's gonna kind of like ball up on the skin, and then that's just not gonna help anything. So you really want to make sure that you press it in. No rubbing. That's gonna be a common theme. Oh, and another way that I prime my skin sometimes is with a spray, like a setting spray, but it can be used to prime. So one of my favorites is the Milani Make It Last setting spray, and it even says prime, correct, and set. so it can be used as a primer. And just for fun, I'm just going to spray that too. And the purpose of the spray is usually for a more long wearing effect, so it's going to help your makeup to adhere to your face for longer periods of time. And then for foundations, I grabbed a bunch of my favorite liquid foundations, and I'm going to talk about my all-time favorite first, and that is the NARS Sheer Glow foundation. And the name implies that it is a lightweight foundation, but it's actually like really full coverage. I wouldn't say it feels heavy on your skin, but it definitely covers everything up. This is the foundation that I wore on my wedding day, and it's just flawless looking on my skin for me. So I really love that. All the other ones that I have to talk about are more drugstore pricing. So this one from Bourjois, this is the Healthy Mix Gel Foundation. I got this on Amazon because it is a European brand. It's really good if you have dry skin, so this is more of a winter foundation for me. And it just looks really nice if you're having like a really bad dry skin day. It keeps it really moisturized, but doesn't really get greasy either. So I love that, and it is like probably around $10 to $15. And another one that I like is from CoverGirl. This is the Healthy Elixir foundation. I did a whole video first impression of this foundation, so I will link that somewhere up here and probably down in the description box if you want to see more about how this looks on my skin. But I really like how it feels and wears throughout the day. And another really good one that is also really affordable is from Wet n Wild, and this is the Photo Focus foundation. I think it's like $5 or $6, and it just looks really good on pretty much everyone that I've ever seen wear it. So I would definitely try this one if you're looking for a good liquid foundation. The color range is not the greatest, but if you can find a color that works for you, then check this one out. And then the one that I'm going to be using today is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Foundation. And as it implies, it is going to keep my skin matte and help to reduce the appearance of pores on my face. So I really like this one. They also make a dewy one, which is just too dewy for me. But if you have dry skin, then maybe check that one out because this one looks really good on your face. So that's what we're going to be using today. And the way that I like to apply my liquid foundations is with a beauty sponge. You can also use a brush. Just know, like, if you use a brush, then you have more of a risk of getting streaks on your face that it's going to take longer to blend out. And if you use a brush, then you are going to get more full coverage. So if you like a more sheer coverage, then I recommend using a damp sponge. But if you like a more full coverage, then use a brush. So about the sponge, it is damp. Please use a damp sponge. It will make your life so much easier. You won't have product to soak in there and lose, you know, half the bottle of your foundation inside your sponge. So what you need to do is hold it under the sink and squeeze it while the water is running into it to make sure that it gets really good and wet. Then give it a good wring. And then take either a paper towel or like a clean washcloth and squeeze out the rest. That is what I have done, so now we can apply foundation. So one thing that I don't love about this foundation is there's not a pump, so you have to pour it out, and I have poured it onto the back of my hand. If you're fancy, then you can use like a little glass palette or something like that, but I am not. I've also squeezed a little drop of this LA Girl white foundation because this shade is a little dark for me. And I'm just going to mix that in on the back of my hand. And then after I've got that into a shade that looks like it's going to work for me, I'm just going to dot that all over my face. This is not really like a necessary step. Like, you could just pick it up with your sponge and start, but I just prefer to distribute it this way. And then I like to take the rounded end of my sponge and just start dabbing. So like I said, there's no swiping. If you do that, then you will get streaks and the foundation doesn't get like worked into your skin as well, and then it just kind of sits there. I don't really know how to explain that, but like you'll know if you've ever applied a foundation, it just feels like it's sitting on top of your skin and it's not like a part of your skin. I sound crazy. So that is really like the only technique that I can tell you. Like, I know there are pictures of people on Instagram and their makeup looks flawless, their skin looks amazing, and it could just be that they have amazing skin, or it could be that they have edited the crap out of their pictures. So this is the way that I think my makeup looks the best and the most like airbrushed without editing anything. And you want to make sure that you get up in the hairline so you don't have a weird line. So I am going to continue on and do concealer. I do have a few little tips about concealer and a few options as far as some of my favorites. Obviously, the Tarte Shape Tape is my #1, which is what I will be using. I love this stuff and it has really good coverage. It's not super thick on my under eyes, but it does a really good job of covering up dark circles, and they make a shade that is light enough to brighten my under eye, so that is a major plus for me. One of my other favorites is the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer. This is also a good shade for me, and it just feels really lightweight but also covers really well too. So that is another one of my favorites. And then I have two affordable options. The Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Dark Circle Eraser is amazing. Every time I use this, I'm like, why am I using anything else? So I think it's really good and does a good job of covering your dark circles like it says. So if you were looking for a drugstore concealer, this would be the one that I would recommend, hands down. And then another one of my newer favorites is from ColourPop, and this is the No Filter Concealer. I do have a little bit of an issue with the shade range for this. It's not really light enough for me. It's more like matching my skin tone, and it does dry a little bit darker than what's in here. But on the skin it looks really good. It looks airbrushed, like no filter. So if you can find a shade that works for you, then I really like this one too. So I'm not going to get into any sort of crazy like contour highlighting situation. I'm just going to put this under my eyes. And that is all I put. I'm not going to draw like huge triangles. So I'm going to use the same sponge and I'm just going to turn it this way so I'm using the more pointed part. And again, I'm going to dab. And with concealer, to prevent it from creasing and things, you want to make sure that you're not only dabbing outward, you're going back in with it too, so that way it gets into all of the little cracks, because we all have them. And you want to make sure also that you get right in that little area. That is the worst for me as far as dark circles. And you want to, with me anyway, you want to make sure that you set your concealer, and that is another way that I think makes my makeup stay on longer and look more smooth. So setting powders can work the same way as like primers. It just all depends on your skin type and what works best for you. So I prefer to set my concealer with a loose powder, and my favorite one is the NYC Smooth Skin Translucent Powder. And I do prefer to set my under eyes with a translucent powder. My favorite pressed powder, however, is the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores, which I'm going to set the rest of my face with. But I have used this to set my under eyes, and it's pretty good. I just prefer the loose. So to set that, I'm going to use this little brush from Real Techniques. It is called a setting brush. What do you know? And you want to make sure before you set that you have dabbed out all of the creases. So if you've been talking like me and moving your eyes around, you might have had some concealer settle where you don't want it to. And then again, I'm just tapping and moving my brush back and forth. I'm not sliding my brush around. I'm just pretty much doing the same thing that I did with the sponge. And you can also set your under eyes with a sponge too. That works really well also. I'm not gonna get into the whole like baking thing, but if you want to see a whole like under eye video, let me know. I'm into it. And then to set the rest of my face, I'm going to use the IT Cosmetics Bye Pores pressed powder. It is another translucent powder, so it will work for anyone's skin color. I'm going to take this big fluffy brush from e.l.f. and just again press that into my skin. Do you get the trick yet? Okay, so that's it, you guys. That is all for this video. All I wanted to do was to show the base makeup routine that I use to make my skin look more smooth and evened out, and basically take away all of the colors that my skin is before I do this, and then obviously go in and put colors back where I want them to. So if you want to see a like contour, bronze, blush, highlight, like the next step after this step video, then let me know in the comments section or give this video a thumbs up so I know that you want to see that. And I hope that this was helpful for you. If you want to see any other type of like how-to video, then please let me know. And if you have any questions about what I've done, then leave a comment and I'll try to answer best I can. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!